How would the marriage bed not be held in honor by all? Sometimes going the reverse rather than the forward gives you the answer to these equations. It's saying that the marriage bed should be held in honor by all. How would a marriage bed not be in honor by all?
Well, sexual relationships, first of all, are for married couples.
Yeah. Well, so Bob, you're right. If in fact there was adultery being involved, then it wouldn't be held in honor by all. That would be obvious. How else could it not be the marriage bed be held in honor by all? Well, let me give you an example. I was pastoring a church one time, and quite a number of people there, and some of the people that were close, one of the families that were close, they come to me and said, well, our son and daughter got married. I said, wow, that was
to each
great.
Other?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That was a misstatement. Excuse me. That was a misstatement. Our son or daughter, I forget what it was, whether they had the daughter or the son, but whether it was the son or the daughter, they got married. Is what I was trying to say. I couldn't remember whether they had a son. I can't remember whether it was a son or daughter, but their child got married, and so because they didn't live far from the church, and I knew the family, I visited the family often, I kind of wondered to myself, well, why wasn't I invited to the wedding, let alone be the guy that does the service? I didn't say that to him, but I kind of thought, well, I'm pretty close friends with these people. They attend my church, and I know the kids, and why wasn't I invited to the wedding? And so I probed around gently with a few questions, and well, they got married Indian style. I says, well, I'm not familiar with that. What's Indian style? Well, they went up on the top of the hill there, his name, whatever the hill name was, and the two of them just went up there and they just made their commitment and got married, up there on the hill, just the two of them. They were just the two present, nobody else. Now, the thought, the thought has to cross through somebody's mind. Is this a legitimate marriage or not?
There were no witnesses.
No witnesses. They were just the two of them up there on the hill, and they just declared that they were married. And now I'm supposed to accept that as the pastor as a legitimate marriage. No marriage license. No paper trail. No nothing. I know another preacher, and this guy was a forceful preacher. He met this woman on the East Coast and does the same kind of a thing, not in Indian style, but they just declare themselves married. And it was a wonderful marriage for about 1.5 years until he found the scripture that said if your wife doesn't obey, you can put her off, and that's what he did. And so, this is, these kinds of situations are not to where the marriage bed is held in honor among all, but it's questioned. That's why we have formal procedures of marriage. We have formal procedures. You go down and you get a marriage license. You generally get someone that's qualified marrying, like a reverend or a justice of the peace, or even here in Las Vegas, one of these people in Las Vegas that have these marriage huts or whatever they are. You go and you go through the procedure and you get married so that nobody can question the legitimacy of your marriage, because there's a thin line between two people shacking up saying, oh, in a sense we're married, or whatever name they have for that now, I forget what.
Common law.
Common law. It oftentimes is nothing more than a shack-up job. And then two Christians that say, well, we hate the state, we don't need any of these things, we're not bound by any of these things, and
we're married before God.
Yeah, we're married before God, thank you, Bob. And so I think that also could be, in addition to someone that's having an adulterous situation, how the marriage bed can be, particularly in our time, by Christians. I think there's a number of Christians that are playing this game that we don't need anything but just our commitment type thing. Now, is there a time when maybe we don't need a reverend or a license or a church? Can you think of a scenario to where that might be applicable, to where you could get married?
You're in the jungle.
Pardon me?
You're in the jungle.
Thank you. Say you get marooned in a boat, you know what I mean, and you're stranded, or you're in a jungle and you're away, you know, and there's no preachers, no nothing. You make a commitment, maybe you get married. But what do you do when you come back to the States?
You legit